National media has been pushing fear in real estate and pretty much everything.
Well, that's how they get clicks. Yeah.
We've been focusing on local, real data and real outcomes. And so kudos to you for all that you do with the stats and the data you put out. So this episode, we're going to kind of cover the where we got it wrong this year. I know.
We got it. We have to own up to when we get stuff wrong, right?
Where we got it right.
Where we got it right. We'll brag about that. It's the end of 2025 and it's episode 563 of Albuquerque Real Estate Talk with Tego and Tracy Venturi. This week, we are going to do a wrap on everything 2025 and what we got right, what we got wrong. But the first thing is, Tracy, we did 47 episodes in 2025. So
Yes.
we missed a couple weeks. What's up with that?
Well, sometimes life happens. So, but I mean, come on, 47 episodes? That's a lot.
It is.
So Tego, we've been doing this for 11 years.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So 563, it wasn't long ago we were looking at 550 and before that 500. Here we are looking at 600 in the 2026s. So Tego, it wasn't a huge flashy year as we look back on 2025, right? It was sort of a clarifying year.
Slow and boring. I've been saying slow and boring. I don't know if that's a good phrase for the real estate market, but that's kind of what I've been saying.
So while the national media has been pushing fear in real estate and pretty much everything.
Well, that's how they get clicks. Yeah.
We've been focusing on local, real data and real outcomes. And so kudos to you for all that you do with the stats and the data you put out. So this episode, we're going to kind of cover the where we got it wrong this year. I know.
We got it. We have to own up to when we get stuff wrong, right?
Where we got it right.
Where we got it right. We'll brag about that.
Myths we had to kill repeatedly.
A lot of those.
And surprises no one saw coming.
Yep.
Along with community impact of our team beyond real estate.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So where we got it wrong, let's just go right there, Tego.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, I think the big one was, and we're not the only ones, but mortgage rates. Last year, this time, Tracy, we were talking, I think we were in high sixes.
Low sevens.
Yeah, low sevens. Yeah, that's right. And maybe it was just wishful thinking, but we were kind of predicting that we would get into the high 5% range for mortgage rates, which really never materialized. When we talk about the headline mortgage rate, right?
Right.
But
not what the buy down rate is.
Right. And I think maybe that's maybe one of the bigger trends in 2025 was mortgage rate buy downs became very, very common and much more pronounced or bigger.
Expected.
It's kind of expected. Yeah.
So in episode 533, as we looked back, Tego, Lawrence Hoon.
In April.
Lawrence Hoon, who's the chief economist for the Realtor Association.
Yeah, National Association
of Realtors said, he was confirming the new normal, higher rates for longer.
Yeah.
And that's what we saw this year.
Yeah, he was in New Mexico and I went to the conference and, basically he said, don't expect anything. And that's really, if we look forward to 2026, that's kind of the same expectations as, maybe a little bit of trickle down, that's not the right word, a little bit of decrease in mortgage rates as we go through 26, but there's nothing on the horizon that's going to drive them substantially lower.
So moving on. So in December of last year, we were talking about what home prices would do in Albuquerque in 2025. And you had
wait. Was the only thing we got wrong mortgage rates? Okay, no, there's one other thing we got wrong, and that was home price appreciation forecast. We'll get to that in one sec. But yeah, go back to the Realtor.com story.
That's what it is. Yeah. We predicted, or Realtor.com predicted, a 4.1 price reduction in prices in Albuquerque across the board this year.
Yeah, there was a big thing, and that was about this time last year. Realtor.com put out the story that said of the 25 housing markets they looked at, I think it was 25 or maybe it was 50 markets, Albuquerque ranked dead last.
Right. And we went, that is not correct. That will never happen, right? So they got it wrong.
They definitely got that one wrong.
The price drop never materialized, right? But But you did project, I think, early in the year that we would see home prices in our market go up 3 to 4%.
I did.
So we got it wrong a little bit, but not by much.
Yeah, not by much. I was going with what the national averages were kind of looking like they would be, because that's kind of where Albuquerque is. And actually, in the end, we've outperformed the national averages. But the national averages this year end up being about zero
Flat.
for home price appreciation.
Right.
We're somewhere in a 2, maybe 3%, again, depending on how you slice it and dice it and what numbers you look at. So we've seen it, a little bit of appreciation, but definitely I was a little bit too optimistic.
I think 2 to 3% in our market's great versus, we said maybe 3 to 4, but it's much better than seeing price declines.
Absolutely.
So we didn't really ignore national data, right? We just refused to let it override what we know as feet on the street.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of posts even today and the other day. I was just posting about, real estate is localized. It's not a national story, even though we get a lot of stuff in some of the local news entities that we have that just take national stories and talk about them. And they never really make it clear that they're talking national, because what's happening in Florida and Austin is very different than what's happening in Phoenix.
And our listeners, they all know that.
Here in Albuquerque.
Here in Albuquerque.
Yeah.
They all know that. So before we go into what we got right, Tego, we have to talk about the New Mexico Lobos. Right?
Yeah.
I've got the shirts right here. So I didn't have a Lobo shirt. I don't know why. We must have gifted everything at some point when we cleaned a closet. So congrats, kudos to the football team at UNM going to the bowl game on the 26th in just a couple of days, and to the basketball team that's doing really well. I don't know about the other sports there, but pretty exciting. So hooray for New Mexico.
Well, we're driving out on Christmas Day to Arizona to watch the game on the day after Christmas.
Yeah,
so
and you're wearing your red jacket.
Well, I've got my holiday jacket on. I only get to wear it a couple times a year, so I might as well wear it for the radio show.
You love to wear special outfits. It's great. Okay, so what we got right. So let's reinforce what we did get right.
Well, and I want to bounce this off of a lot of the national headlines we see. Like we've said over and over again, we see so many stories that are doom and gloom, and foreclosures are up 100%, and there's
a big crash coming,
crash coming, and all that stuff. All the year we've been saying, no, that's not a thing. It's not a thing. It's not a thing. We're not in Austin, and even Austin, for example, right, which has seen some of the biggest declines in the whole country, and a few places in Florida, they're still down like 5%. It's not like a huge amount, right?
And I had some home sellers. We helped them sell their luxury home in Corrales, and they moved to Austin, and they worked with my great friend there, Jenna, to help them find a house in Austin. They missed out on their first choice, multiple offers. Their second choice was multiple offers, and they were able to buy that house. But when you think about price declines in Austin, it doesn't mean they're giving things away.
Right.
It doesn't mean there's nobody buying a house. Just sidebar there.
Yeah, no, I get it. So we got that right. I mean, there's no housing crash. What we've had, and what I've recognized just in the last month, is what's happened in Albuquerque is we've had what I'm going to call a soft correction, in the sense that we had those couple of years where we saw, I think, 17% appreciation, and was it 21? I guess
prices.
It was. And remember, we were sitting here talking about going, oh, this is not good. We can't have double-digit home price appreciation for multiple years. It's setting us up. Well, what we've had, I'm calling it a soft correction, in the sense that we've seen maybe 2% appreciation this year, maybe 3%, right? Which I'll take. Let me put it that way.
It's not far off of a 50-year average of, if you look at how much homes appreciate every year.
Well, it's 4%. Is our long-term average in Albuquerque is about 4%. So we're behind that. We're below the average, right?
But we were ahead.
Exactly.
So we'll take 2 to 3.
Yeah.
Right?
So we'll take this. And there was I want to call it a crash, but we could call it a crash in the number of homes selling. We're basically equal with 2024 if we go back. So, the number of homes selling in Albuquerque, we're going to end somewhere around 10,000. I was expecting an increase from 24.
So no distressed inventory wave. So what that means to me is the lending regulations did their job, right?
Yes.
They're making sure that people who qualify and should be buying homes using loans are verified buyers. They should be buyers, right?
Yeah, and we don't have the subprime mortgages like we had pre-2007. We don't have the adjustable rate mortgages with, crazy balloon payments 3 years in. There are adjustable rate mortgages, but they're very sensible. They're not as difficult as they used to be.
Another thing we got right, Tego,
Yeah.
we had talked about the luxury market and the strength of it in episodes 528 and 536, in case people just love those episodes. But we talked about the luxury market strength and that luxury homes priced right are still selling. And I actually have a stat for that. I know you're the
Wow,
stat
I'm
guy.
jealous. Yeah, let's hear it. Okay.
So do you remember a few years ago we were talking about how many luxury homes sold in our market? This is probably 8 or 10 years ago
Well,
now.
I know if we go back to,
Like 2012.
yeah, I mean, it was probably 20, right?
Right.
Yeah,
It was. I
and-
remember one year we reported like 30
yeah,
homes over, I think it was 750 at the time, not a million.
right.
But okay, so 260 homes closed that were listed over 1 million. 237 of those actually closed on or above a million. So some of them, 23?
Yeah.
Were priced above a million but closed below a million. But that's a lot.
So
in
that's
our
about
market.
almost 3% of all the homes that sold in our market.
So
So yeah,
that's a lot.
Yeah,
It's a lot of $1 million homes selling
Right,
for
right.
little old Albuquerque.
Yeah, so I mean, so that I think is sustained and held steady.
So some of the other things we talked about that I think we got right? We're talking about the market was going to be quiet, consistent, resilient, and also the lock-in effect that
Yeah.
now is like a word of 2025.
I mean, we started talking about that probably 2 years ago,
Right.
at least.
Right.
And I mean, that was because I'm following all these housing economists, and they were talking about it 2 years ago that, this lock-in effect is coming. These people with these 3 and 4% mortgages aren't going to want to move. And that is definitely now played out through 2025.
It has, but let me just say, feet on the street, in the last 2 weeks, we've had a lot of sellers calling saying, I'm ready after the new year to put my house on the market. We have several that are in the works right now and several where we're still planning to meet with home sellers in the next week or two over the holidays, which a lot of times people say the holidays are not the right time to do real estate, but we've been quite busy.
Yeah, inventory, when we say inventory, we're talking about the number of homes that are listed for sale, right? So it's stayed it's increased from 2024, for example, versus, it's gone up, but it's actually still below 2019 levels if we think about, okay, if we go back to the pre-pandemic normal days, whatever you
Yeah.
want to call it, we're still not seeing as many homes on the market. And I'm going to say so far, because I think it's as people start recognizing it's time for them to upgrade, downgrade. Let me rephrase that. Move up, move down, downsize, whatever it
Right
is.
size.
Right size. Yeah, there we go. There's a good way to put it. They're going to start saying, okay, it's time. I'm going to just have to deal with this, 6.25% mortgage and give up my 4% mortgage.
Right. So we're not going to do our predictions like for 2026 right now. So when
that's
you
coming.
said that,
That's coming.
not this episode.
Not this episode.
Yeah.
No, not this episode. No, we'll do that. I'll do that for the new year. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the myths we busted over and over again sometimes, right?
Yep.
First one, 71% of our buyers in our market were cash buyers, and that was in the media.
Yeah, that wasn't even a myth. That was a news story.
That was a
Again, our
big
good friends
error.
at Realtor.com put out a story that said 71% of all buyers in Albuquerque are cash buyers.
I'm sure that anyone that's not even in real estate reading that headline knew right away that there was something wrong there.
I'm afraid to say that that's not the case, because as soon as that broke, I had like 2 people text me the story and say, what the blah, 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 right? And I'm like, yeah, no, this isn't right. And, of course, I looked at the data, and it ended up being only about 15% were cash buyers.
And you even got Realtor.com to reply to you and say, yeah, and
Exactly.
here's why we got it wrong.
Long story short is I ended up getting in the Albuquerque Journal. The the local association, Albuquerque Association of Realtors, put out a news release, a press release saying, no, this is wrong. This data isn't correct. Here's the correct data. So we got that cleaned up. So
Yeah.
that was my big myth bust of the year.
So another thing, and we've already kind of hit on this, one of the most persistent myths of the year is prices are falling,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And we already talked about it. They didn't fall.
Well, and so many times what you'll see, again, national stories, they'll pick one market. I'm going to pick on Austin again. They'll pick Austin, or they'll pick some of these Florida markets where prices are falling.
Well,
but the thing is, the thing that's interesting about that is I saw a chart the other day, and it showed basically the northern half of the country is seeing price appreciation.
right. So one of the things that plays into prices are falling is if you look at the price across the board, it might look like the prices are coming down. But what we've focused on this year is price per square foot. And what we've seen is while the average price or median might be coming down, it's because the homes of new construction, they're actually making them a little bit smaller to keep them a little bit more affordable so that it changes with prices. Yeah. And we've been telling our listeners that all year.
And we've seen some drop in median. I think part of the drop in median, again, just reminder everybody, median is, the middle of everything that's sold, the middle number. I think part of that is just the affordability challenge. That was another big buzzword for 2025 was affordability challenges. Homes are unaffordable, mortgage payments are unaffordable, right? We've heard it over and over again.
But the average...
And I think part of that is what's driven down the median is that less expensive homes were selling than higher price homes, for example, and that drove down the median. That doesn't necessarily mean that home prices were dropping.
But what we also mentioned many times throughout the year is the average price per square foot has continued to go up.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, so moderately, but it's definitely gone up. Yeah.
Days on market.
Yeah, there was a lot of story about, homes aren't selling, they're taking forever to sell, and basically, we're just back to, I'm going to use this word, I'm going to give a caveat to this word. We're back to normal. When I say normal, I'm just talking about, what would be expected in a healthy, kind of steady market. And that's where we are, 49 days.
Days on market right now is about 24 days.
No, it's actually, it's more than that now. I think that was from, earlier in the year. Right now, we're seeing average days on market for homes that sold of 49 days.
There we go.
However, let's remember this, that the great homes are still selling, right? The homes that need some TLC, maybe a little tired, I don't know how else to say it, I'm trying to be nice here.
They stay on the market a little longer unless they're priced for that condition.
Correct.
In which case, then there's interest.
Right.
So Tego, rent control was in the news a lot this year, which hopefully we don't have to keep dealing with that.
Well, it seems like we're going to keep dealing with it because some people seem to think that that's a actual thing that will help with rent prices, when in the end it's been proven over and over and over again every time it's been tried that it actually has the opposite effect. I'm not going to get in the weeds on it, but yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that'll keep coming up because we do have affordability challenges.
Right. And then also in this myths we busted sort of, that we had a couple of conversations throughout the year that home inspections do not give a house a pass or fail, right? It's not really a real thing.
Yeah, we hear people say, it failed the inspection, or it didn't pass the inspection. Well, that's not a thing. Inspection is just telling you what it is.
Right. It's just, in this moment in time, here's a snapshot.
Yeah.
So let's go on. Data moments that made us stop.
Yeah, one of them was when we got the population data. It was interesting because Bernalillo County actually had a drop in population, where both Sandoval and Valencia saw an increase in population.
And boy, it makes total sense. The numbers I think are correct, right? Look at where all the new construction is in Rio Rancho and Los Lunas. They're creating housing, not necessarily more affordable than Albuquerque, but they're creating housing starts where that's where the population can go.
The thing that's odd about that is we're still seeing new homes in Albuquerque. You think about the Southwest and Mesa del Sol, and there's a few infill projects in the Heights and, in the West Side. I mean, there's still a lot of building going on in Albuquerque. So yeah, it's interesting that there was that decline, and I know a lot of people can take a deep dive on why that's happening, and I'm sure a lot of people have their own reasons and can guess why, but that was a thing that it was interesting.
So another thing that made us go, right, is Rio Rancho's median sale price versus Albuquerque's median sale price. 368 versus 342 in Albuquerque.
Yeah,
For many, many years, everybody said, well, you just go to Rio Rancho and you get a better price, much more house for the money.
when I first got in real estate, and actually when I first moved to Albuquerque, 30 years ago, it was like, oh, that's, Rio Rancho is where you go to buy the cheap houses. Well, it's interesting how it's flipped.
Right.
So the median price for Rio Rancho and Sandoval County homes are higher than Bernalillo County homes now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so some of the neighborhoods that we talked about throughout the year that stood out. So Mesa del Sol, we just mentioned it. Mesa del Sol is on a tear right now. And if you haven't been there lately to see all the new construction and the opportunity there, they've got employment base, they've got the international school, charter school there. And then there's 5 new home builders who are building new houses there, just south of the airport, just south of downtown. So it's, if you're thinking of Los Lunas, you might think about Mesa del Sol as a possibility. Other areas, Tego, that we saw, actually Los Lunas.
Yeah, I mean, I think we need to talk about Los Lunas. I mean, again, that's a story that's been kind of building for a few years, but there's a lot of building, no pun intended, a lot of construction going on, new construction. They finally finalized the bridge project, which is going to be the
southern end.
Yeah, it's going to be the other off ramp for Los Lunas, which should help with some of the traffic issues at Los Lunas.
For sure.
Obviously, that's still a few years out, but that's finally in the works, which is good to see.
It seems like Los Lunas is really in growth mode, but politically, they were employment-wise, they work really hard to bring in jobs too. So that's been great. Although the traffic is a problem, it's great that they are addressing it because that Main Street exit off I-40 can get very busy at times.
Yeah, the other I think kind of came up on the radar, at least for me, and maybe you can tell me if if I just missed it, which is North Rio Rancho. So the Enchanted Hills area, I'll call it.
Lomas Encantadas.
Lomas Encantadas, Enchanted Hills, all of that stuff going on there. They have that new complex, the Bach, what's it called?
The Block.
The Block.
Yes. That's an entertainment complex in restaurants. And if you don't know what the Block is.
Yeah, I'm just saying, people that maybe haven't been out to that part of, a lot going on out there.
A lot of shops,
builders,
a lot of restaurants.
Lots happening there.
Yeah.
Other areas, North Albuquerque Acres continues to be the place where you see the big custom estate homes being built.
Right. All over, though, infill. We've seen a lot of big custom homes going up this past year.
Yeah.
And Sandia Heights, it's funny because I haven't talked about it in a long time, but we sold an Anton Predock designed home in Sandia Heights a few years ago. And literally the house had a bear come through the kitchen window once, and the bear paws were on the wall below the window when they fixed it, and they left them there. So when we were showing the house to people, it's like, yes, you're moving here, and there are wild animals around. And, some people were like, I could never live in this part of town now that I know that bears could come through the kitchen window. But, this weekend we were doing a lot of cooking for the holidays, and I was in the kitchen a lot. Remember that?
I don't remember. I was watching football.
I know.
Kidding.
That was my point. No, you were helping and you were helping clean. But I had Chip and Joanna Gaines on, whatever their show is called. And it was their Colorado mountain home getaway episode. And they actually had some bear paws in the house that they had purchased. I'm like, oh, I've seen that before.
Well, there you go.
Okay. Neighborhoods that stood out, lots of them, right?
That was interesting. So some fun stuff. We went back through and Sam helped us, pull out, some of the stuff we talked about throughout the year. And this was interesting. So the chicken coop story, I thought that was interesting. It was like the most luxury thing we've ever seen in a house, or at least
on a property.
On a property, yeah.
Yeah. So the house I sold in Corrales for some great people who were moving to San Antonio, they had a heated chicken coop, and the chickens conveyed with the property, which is not that unusual, but all the chickens had names. There was a whole list for the new owners who wanted the chickens of each chicken and what they're like and what their names
But it
were.
was remote control too, like they could
And
close the door or something?
right, so chickens go up and they roost at night.
Yeah.
And so this was a fully enclosed outdoor area as well, but they actually had a auto. It wasn't even remote. It was auto sensing morning and dark, and it would actually close up the chicken coop to keep them safe at night. So that was a fun one.
Keep the raccoons and the coyotes out.
Right. And the fence should do that, but as we know, we've had chickens before and the coyotes got in somehow, or the raccoons, I
Yeah,
think, came
yeah.
underneath the coop. So,
Well, another thing that came up a lot this year by you was pickleball.
yeah. So, yeah, pickleball. It seems like when we show houses now, people even want to know where a pickleball court is sometimes. So we have to keep up on it.
Yeah.
And then we had an episode where we talked about interesting street names. Was that around the 4th of July?
I don't remember when it was.
Yeah, it
let's-
was because we were talking about like
see, it was-
fireworks and streets named
Oh, was
like
it?
4th of July. So
Episode
the
4.
favorite that episode was the street name Sparkling Moolah.
Sparkling Moolah Road.
How'd you like to live on Sparkling Moolah? Would it just make you happy every time you
Yeah.
had to say that? It would
Do you know
be.
where that road is?
I don't. Is it
It's
in Volterra?
No, it's near Cochiti. It's
Ah.
Peña Blanca.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
I had to look it up because I'm like, going, really? That's a thing? But yeah.
Interesting.
It is. It is.
So other fun stuff, Tego. I know that this is not new, but a long time ago, I started calling you the stat-o-matic. Stat-o-matic.
Yeah.
And that sort of sticks now. People come up to us and they're like, oh, you're the Statomatic. And I'm like, yeah, that's my guy.
Yeah, I'm the Statomatic. The other one, you said this multiple times, was the trifecta.
Oh, yeah.
You've talked about this a few times, and I think it's a good summary of the real estate experience, which is you've got these group of the buyer, and this is talking about buyers. You've got the buyer, you've got the real estate agent, real estate broker, and you've got the mortgage person. And all three are working together, right? That's
Right.
your reference, right?
My
It's the
trifecta. Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes all of us. If you don't need a loan, obviously you don't need a trifecta. It's a trifecta.
Yeah.
But when there's a lender, they're a partner. They're a big part of the whole experience. So we like to make sure it's all of us working in the same direction. So
Go ahead. You're next.
switching gears.
Yeah.
Okay. So some of the other things that as a real estate team that we do is our goal is to make sure to give back to our community. And our team members are all about that. And so some of the things we've done this year that are memorable and stand out, I think real early in the year, probably just February-ish. Yeah, we went to Roadrunner Food Bank, and wow, every time we do that, we try to do that a few times here and there. And we usually try to do it after the holidays, after everybody has already done all their volunteering, because it seems like when we talk to Storehouse West or Roadrunner or the different food distribution centers, they say we get a lot of volunteers around Thanksgiving and Christmas, and then it drops off. So we like to do it off season. So
Yeah.
February we did that, and it's always so rewarding and just such an impressive operation to see and realize how many people in New Mexico are being fed by that distribution center
Yeah.
and where they get all their food from. It's mind-blowing.
Well, another one that kind of came on our radar this year was the Personalities Plus, which Cassandra, our broker, she's been very involved with them, and they're the entity that takes used purses and then donates them, correct?
It's, purses. They don't have to be used, but
Yeah. Okay.
purses that hopefully are filled with personal hygiene type items for women, either on the street or getting back on their feet, who might need those things and something to carry it all in.
And that's an ongoing thing too. I
Ongoing.
mean, we've done a couple drives, but that's an ongoing thing as well.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
One of the fun things we did just to be a part of the community is we participated in a trunk or treat event in Los Lunas
Yeah.
to support our Los Lunas office.
Yep.
And that was awesome. Boy, there was a lot of amazing kids that showed up and a lot of candy distributed.
Oh,
I bet
boy.
some kids are probably still eating it. I can't imagine that they,
You never know.
I
Never know.
can't imagine all that sugar, but that was a fun event. And then we just had a big one.
Yeah, the big one we just did was, it's a long story, but basically we learned that there was a need for some clothing for kids in the Moriarty area school, Moriarty Edgewood. right? I mean, there's Locker 505 here in Albuquerque, which does an amazing job, providing clothing and shoes and all that stuff for kids. But we learned that it's a little bit tougher out there, right? It's rural. There's, maybe not the resources to get connected with Locker 505. So anyway, we did a clothing drive. It was super successful. We delivered it to the schools, and they actually now just store it at the schools. Because what happened, we have a connection with one of the principals out there, and what had happened is, kids show up and they don't have
a hoodie,
they don't
or
have the right clothes, or maybe, there's different reasons where they just need something to change into. And so now they have a inventory that they can go to, and they really appreciated it.
And every school, they take it and they kind of distribute it. So they have sort of a store closet at every school. So if a teacher sees something, they can just walk the kids there and say, hey, go in here and get something and put it on.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Or grab what you need if you need more than clothes just for today. And that we got, from toddler all the way to adult size, because it covered all grades, all ages.
Well, you know what I like the most about that, Tracy, is we learned about this need just by having a casual conversation with somebody, and then went, well, we can do something about that.
And a lot of our listeners stepped up, because
Yeah.
a lot of our team members really went all out to let people know about our collection. And our back of our building was full of things that we spent a whole morning sorting, so it would be easier for the school. So that was awesome. So Tego, that's kind of a wrap, kind of reminding us.
What is there anything that we didn't talk about that you want to talk about that's memorable for 2025?
Are you trying to
I'm putting you on the spot.
Remind me of something?
No, I'm not. I'm just going, okay. It's that whole thing when you meet with somebody, let's say you're on an appointment, there's always that, is there anything that I didn't ask that I should have asked?
Yeah.
Right? That's that great question. And
I guess, I wasn't prepared for this, but I can say that we have the best real estate team around. They're so caring, kind, honest, knowledgeable, and good at what they do. And I feel fortunate to be surrounded by such talent and such great, dedicated people as we end the year. But yeah. Do you want me to ask you now?
I want you to ask me.
Yes. Is there something that you would like to say, Tego?
Well, I think 2025 was the year that AI, artificial intelligence, really took hold as mainstream. I was playing around with it, as 3 years ago, right?
Or
more. Yeah. And now it's just become mainstream, especially this time of year, right? We're seeing all these photos and stuff that are being made using AI. Remember a couple of year ago, I was saying there's going to be a point where we're not going to know what's real and what's not real. Well, we're to that point.
We're way beyond. Yeah.
Yeah. But I just know in our business, we have Samuel here, who's our producer, but also our marketing director, uses it all the time to be able to take and do a much better job marketing properties and exposing properties to potential buyers, which has been really helpful. Obviously, it helps with what we're doing right here. We can use this to spread information and give good knowledge about the real estate market. I do that all the time with on my Facebook and other places where I post about the real estate market. But having AI has allowed us to just do more and be more efficient. It's not taking away our jobs, it's just making it more efficient. And we can be better with what we do. That's all. So 2025 was the year of AI for me.
Totally.
Going mainstream. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. So that's kind of a wrap. Happy holidays, everyone. If you made it this far, please make sure you like, follow. What else? What's the other? Subscribe. Like, follow, subscribe.
I always forget that one on YouTube.
Yeah,
I know.
Subscribe. Okay.
Well, you're not a big YouTube watcher like me.
No.
So, yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah.
But I do watch some.
Yeah.
Anyway, Happy New Year. All the best as you finish out the year. Go Lobos, and we'll see you soon.
Take care.